Yo, 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 this is Lee Laurent, and you here rocking with All Urban Central. And right now, we got some breaking news. Apparently, last night, just a few hours ago, Chris Brown arrived in London with his private jet. And as he landed and entered and checked in his hotel, there was a hotel raid with the police and authorities of the UK. And apparently, they arrested Chris Brown. Not only is Breezy getting sued, but apparently the UK police is charging him after assault in a nightclub back in 2003, and we're going to get into the detail. Now, this news of Chris Brown being arrested literally comes hours after Chris Brown posted to his public social media Instagram account, Free Tory, and now it's given Free Breezy. Despite all the irony, Chris Brown had found himself in prison as well, as apparently he was just arrested just a few hours ago in Manchester as the European UK police have did a raid in his hotel and arrested him. It seems that he's being charged for previous actions where he's being accused of striking producer/promoter Abraham Dial in a nightclub tape in London back in 2023. According to BBC News, Chris Brown is in custody where he now remains and is being charged with suspicion of grievous bodily harm due to an alleged attack on the producer Abe Dial and nightclub tape, which is located in Mayfair, and the incident that happened in February 19th of 2023. So not only is Chris Brown being held in custody as they launch their investigations, apparently Abe Dial is also suing Chris Brown for allegedly striking him with a tequila bottle as well as kicking him in the nightclub as well. So we anxiously wait as we accumulate more information. As of now, Chris Brown and his team has not made any statements in regards to the arrest. And obviously during this investigation, they're going to have to find a witness, some sort of surveillance in a nightclub, or perhaps if he went to, the hospital, something to support the claims that producer Abe Dial is alleging. As you can see in this Billboard article, the headline reads that Chris Brown is arrested in Manchester over alleged 2-year-old nightclub bottle attack. All right, so it goes into detail saying how Chris Brown, 36 years old, has been arrested in his Manchester hotel, Lowry Hotel in Salford, a luxury hotel to be exact. And this happens just a few hours as he landed in UK on his private jet. The article goes into further detail saying that Chris Brown was arrested in suspicion for grievous bodily harm, and he's in custody where he remains. I think this article is slightly informative as you keep going and it starts to inform you a little bit more about what Abraham Dial alleges. Apparently Abraham Dial alleges that on the night of the attack, that musical icon and performing artist Chris Brown attacked him by smashing a tequila bottle over his head on February 19th, 2023, as well as kicked him. Billboard also provides a quote from Abe. According to Billboard, Abe actually spoke to The Sun, a prevalent news media outlet in UK, where he quotes Chris Brown hit him on the head at least 2 or 3 times, where his knees collapsed as well. The big takeaway from this is that Abe is actually trying to sue Chris Brown for $15 million for the alleged attack. I'm just going to say it. It seems like the more money you make, or if you become like a public figure, if you get into a fight, it's not worth it. They're going to try to sue you for millions of dollars. And I really want to remain objective. However, this Billboard article literally goes into the history of Chris Brown abusive behavior. I mean, of course, they're going to go and talk about the issue that he had with previous girlfriend, Rihanna. They also talk about a previous nightclub altercation between him and Drake at Whip. And the list literally goes on. They bring up Karrueche Tran with his abusive texts and threatening behavior. as well as other incidents that happened in various nightclubs. I'll be honest, it seems like Billboard is not a big fan of Chris Brown despite all his accolades on Billboard, especially by trying to highlight all of his abusive behavior that was in the past. I mean, if I'm being honest, this whole incident with him and Rihanna happened years ago. And honestly, even Rihanna was able to forgive him.
People thought that Chris hitting you was unforgivable. Have you forgiven him?
I have forgiven him.
This clip is from 12 years ago, where Rihanna had an exclusive interview with Oprah where she personally stated how she forgave Chris Brown. But somehow, the general public and other outlets like Billboard can't seem to let go of Chris Brown's previous behaviors. However, Chris Brown and Rihanna have moved on. Chris Brown co-wrote one of Rihanna's biggest hit, Disturbia, and they even musically collaborated on other huge songs. Chris Brown was a feature on the remix of Birthday Cake, and they also featured together on Nobody's Business on Rihanna's album. Although there was an incident between Drake and Chris Brown, it seems like they personally made up with dropping one of the hottest songs of the summer, No Guidance, back in 2020, which has amassed over 494 million views on YouTube and counting.
Ooh, excuse me. I'm around you already. Oh, I'm 360 with this. I'm 360.
If all the said parties involved have forgiven Chris Brown or have moved on, I think it's best to say that the rest of the world can do the same. And I believe it's safe to say with any adversity that Chris Brown faces, he knows how to channel it and make better music and come out on top without letting it knock him off of his square.
My whole life, I've been able to be creative in chaos. So it's like, regardless of whatever's going on, like I understand the end goal and where I was trying to be and what I wanted to do.
So despite his recent arrest, we're hoping that Chris Brown can obviously prove his innocence and he can resume what he was planning. I'm sure he was already in London as he was preparing. Chris Brown does have a huge tour coming out. He has his Breezy Bowl tour that has a huge headline artists such as Gina Aoki, Summer Walker, and Bryson Tiller joining him. And apparently the first leg of that tour is in Europe. So I'm sure he was only in London primarily for that. So I'm sure music lovers and Chris Brown fans and concert goers alike are all hoping to see Chris Brown free as he prepares for his big tour. As you know, Chris Brown has been a huge music artist since he was a kid for over 2 decades with no guidance, no pun intended. So he has made a few mistakes in the past. However, we hope to see him only prosper. But as always, what do you guys think?